S-Word in the Stone.
It's long, meandering, doesn't really have a point.
No, it's the one that he gets turned into various animals.
Yep, and that is a plot how?
It's all about character growth. He's learning about, because animals do stuff differently.
No, he could have gone to the town and pulled out the sword in the first scene. Nothing he did informed anything of the plot.
Well, he had to become a better person before he could pull the sword.
He was in no way a different person than when he started.
He had broadened his horizons.
No, he didn't.
A bit.
No, he basically got a wizard to take care of the bullies who were beating him up. And then the wizard was mean to him for a while.
There's squirrels.
I'm not going to argue that point. We both agree they're squirrels. Hey, we're two fat guys.
And we just watched even more Disney. So much Disney.
Oh, so much more Disney.
We're on to the period that you affectionately call Middle Disney.
I don't know affectionately, but...
Well, you call it that.
I do call it that. I'm not arguing the calling in that. It's the modifier. And you know I love adverbs.
We have 101 Dalmatians, The Sword and the Stone, The Jungle Book.
Could be Jungle Book.
The Jungle Book. The Carl Jungle Book. It's a very different movie. The Aristocats. Robin Hood. Looks like Rush Hour.
It's not Rush Hour. Stop reading. These are my notes. They're not your notes.
I'm just saying.
Write your own notes if you want to read them.
And then we have The Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
I'm going to give you the Few Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Which is later. It's a much shorter one, actually.
It's much shorter, more interesting. Alright, so this era, a lot of it was things that were going on this time. There was a big competition for Walt's attention. This was when he was really pushing for live action features, amongst other things.
And parks were opening up at this point, were they?
Yeah, parks were opening up at this point. Parks were, I think, open at this point. Both of them were open at this point, I believe. Maybe. I don't know. I'm making that up. I didn't do the research. Moving on.
Great.
And also, this is during this era, Walt Disney passes away. And this is when he dies. Right. And then also, actually, his brother also dies. So Walt and Roy die within this time. Walt in 1966 and Roy in 1971. Some things, there were some budget cutbacks that marked this era. They started doing a Xerox copying of sketches directly to cells, which is cheaper but rougher.
Yeah, when we started on 101 Dalmatians, we thought that it was a new sketchy art style, and we actually commented that we liked it. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
And then we found out it's like, oh no, it's because we couldn't afford to do it good.
Yeah, basically, the animators hated that, because if you ever seen an animator actually draw a character, they do all the sort of test shapes, and then they do the solid lines, and they build up to a character that way. So by basically Xeroxing directly onto these, even you would still get some of these faint test lines and rough edges and not perfect strokes. Whereas before, if you would trace it, which is what they used to do, which, as you imagine, takes a lot of money and time to trace every single picture again, then they would just draw the final lines and not get all the test lines. So a lot of them hated it, but it may have saved Disney. Just budget-wise, they couldn't afford to keep going at the rate they did. The amount of money they spent on things like Sleeping Beauty, everything needed to be a massive success to keep the studio afloat, and with the other things they wanted to do, they really couldn't afford that. So,
and it worked.
Yeah,
I mean, with that art style, like I said, we thought it was intentional.
And, I enjoyed it. It didn't detract at all.
It's not like it just started happening halfway through a movie. Like, oh, we ran out of money. Now let's start doing this.
Yeah, switching out of production was smart.
So yeah, it seemed to work, and I think the opening credits had also seemed sketchy as well,
yes.
which kind of led us into that style.
They're doing more interesting things with credit sequences, less storybook and more interesting. Also with the stories are very interesting and different in this one.
Yes.
This is also the end of this era is the end for a lot of classic Disney animators. Most of the 9 old men make their exit during this time. Those are Disney's famous animators who were working with him since Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They start sort of stepping out, and then in the next batch of films, we start seeing some of the names that will shape Disney in the future, going on into the Renaissance and beyond. But for this time, so the first one we have in this one is 101 Dalmatians. So it's 1961. The book came out in 1956. So this movie was out
quick turnaround.
It was immediately. If I remember correctly, Walt Disney might have purchased the rights before the book came out.
Wow.
Yeah, he heard about the story and just went for it. As Sam and I talked, we had the graphic shift where it went to the Xerox, And the backgrounds was particularly noticeable because it was almost suggestive backgrounds. Like the colors didn't quite line up with the lines, and it was more a vague suggestion of like, okay, well, this is a city block. You know, there are buildings in the background, but I can't see all the details of the building, as opposed to like, think of Bambi and like, oh, I can see every leaf on the tree in the background. Mm-hmm. It was more suggestive of what the background is, which, you know, I can understand why animators are mad about that, and to a certain extent, you know, it's a different kind of art. I don't want to say it's worse, but it's different than sort of doing a full photorealistic for all the backgrounds, because, I mean, holy hell, Sleeping Beauty, those are full painted backgrounds, and those were gorgeous. But it didn't detract from viewing. I really enjoyed it. Not at all. It's one of the few Disney films set in contemporary times, which really felt like a breath of fresh air. Like, even though as much as I love Sleeping Beauty, the amount of fairy tales they've sort of done and historical tales, doing one just coming out in 1961, just set in the modern day, it was really interesting and a very urban setting. Well, the set pieces were urban. It started off like, you know, they go to the country, obviously, but you know, there were cars involved and very interesting stuff.
I just want a quick note, how good Cruella de Vil is. The song. I mean, the character as well. I mean, she's not good. She's very bad. Yeah, insanely bad. Yeah, she tries to murder
puppies.
Actually,
I think her plan was to let them grow up and then murder the adults and have more fur. But anyways.
Well, not by the end when she was all like crazy-eyed.
Oh yeah, no, crazy-eyed opium Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, she's like, I'm just gonna murder everything now. She kind of got a bit crazy at the end, but the song Cruella de Vil is real interesting. One, I like that it's sung by one of the protagonists.
Yeah, it's also diegetic. Like
he's a songwriter.
He's a songwriter, and he's just playing this song about this woman. It's different than sort of the, you know, love songs or musical style songs that characters would just burst into song with the world around them. Yeah. Like this guy just wrote songs and he's playing the piano. And his wife's like, "Hey, be quiet! Stop singing that song."
Don't. She's like on her way here. What are you doing?
Yeah. But yeah, just a great song. Very entertaining. Musically, it's very good, and also, you know, it's also a time of getting more contemporary. Once again, I enjoy the music a little more because it's getting closer and closer to music I'm used to hearing. Mm-hmm. So that helps. I felt the plot structure was much stronger on this film.
And I think,
when I was thinking about it, I sat down to make my notes for this one. I was like, why do I feel like it's so much stronger? Because there is, you know, a lot of wacky stuff with the puppies and all that. There's sort of that normal thing that you get out of Disney and going for bits, more than plot beats. But I think they had more there, and one of the reasons I think is because they included what would normally be a prologue. Like it starts with the Pongo and his owner, I'm forgetting the man's name.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Basically, with the couple not married, haven't even met each other. So like we have to go through this prologue, which is
as from Pongo's point of view.
It's not even like it's not even like a minute before the credits thing voiceover. It's like a full scene. It's like 5 to 10 minutes where it goes through them meeting and getting together, and then it's their marriage, and then they have all the kids. So then, like, okay, well, then you have a little time to see what life is like with the dog and all the kids, and then the new house, and then you're just and then you're just do Cruella de Vil, and then she's taken, and then it's the rescue. So there's always stuff. There's more and more stuff, and I think it's because, well, normally you might have jumped in like, oh, we have 19 puppies, and it's insane. Like, if you jumped in there and did a sort of normal Disney movie at this length, it would have dragged, and you would have had more. Oh no, the puppies are getting into things they're not supposed to.
No, it's so wacky.
Yeah, I mean,
they had that. Yeah, sure, but not nearly to the extent as some of the earlier Disney movies. Mm-hmm. I was about to say this era was generally a lot better at plot structure, but then I looked at the list again, and that's kind of hit and miss.
Some of them. This era's all over the place. This era, it feels like, well, in addition to changing the art style, they're also trying to sort of, I think, get away from what they had done before. Maybe they didn't want to risk becoming stale, so they're trying new things, which, I mean, I have to commend.
Which, you know, when you have a whole lot of new artists and new people in charge, you're going to get that.
Yeah. But 101 Dalmatians, very good film. It's also kind of led the charge of, now we're seeing a recent trend of, oh, let's take these classic animated Disney films and just do them again, but in live action.
Yeah.
Like, granted, now there's a twist because they're doing, like, Maleficent and, like, oh, let's see other sides of the story and switching things around. But, yeah, I didn't even think about it. In the 90s, you know, 30 years later or whatever, they're like, oh, let's do that movie again. Let's put people in it, though.
Yep.
Get a bunch of puppies. But, yeah, 101 Dalmatians, good stuff. Sword in the Stone. This is a weird one.
Fantastic.
This is weird. I want to like it. I'm a huge fantasy fan. You know, the Once a Future King is a classic story. a lot of praise. Specifically, I remember that's one of the blurbs on Game of Thrones, on my mass market paperback edition of Game of Thrones. It's like, reminiscent of the once and future king. And I was like, I've never read that, but Clayton said this book is good, so whatever. But they just kind of they Disney the hell out of it. They took They took the least plotty parts of the story about Arthur, because it's based on King Arthur, technically. They took the least interesting and engaging parts of the story and then just Disneyed up for a while, and then they said, "Okay, we have 60 minutes. Okay, we'll stop."
Yeah, they have a lot of wackiness, I would say. I enjoy it. Well, I don't. The plot of this doesn't mean as much to me as to you, and while I agree that the plot of this is not very good, I at least really enjoyed all of their antic-y parts.
Here's the thing, like when I decry reviewing the older films, and this one as well, when I'm talking about like, oh, it's not a lot of plot, it's just a lot of bits. The bits are really good. That's how Disney got famous. They're really good doing these bits. But as I'm sitting here as a person watching a marathon of films, especially knowing what's coming.
And coming off of 101 Dalmatians.
And coming off 101 Dalmatians, it was kind of a step backwards. It was kind of closer to Snow White in terms of its plot structure. Mm-hmm. Because you would think Sword in the Stone, the plot might be, oh, I bet it's about Arthur finding this sword and pulling it from the stone, and then people recognize him as the true king and becoming a fair and just ruler. That is not what it's about. It's about this annoying kid named Arthur who spends a week with a wacky wizard transforming into animals.
Turned into animals.
Yes. Yeah. They're like 3 different animals? Is it 3 different?
I want to say yes, because
a bird, a squirrel, and a fish. Yeah. So they change the animals to essentially teach them different lessons about being a good person, but it's really just, hey, let's do wacky stuff as a fish, and now a squirrel, and now a bird.
Man, I love that squirrel scene.
And so, like, well over an hour of this film is just occupied with this plot of him transforming into different animals, and then the plot of they have a prologue talking about the sword, like, hey, this sword exists, and then the last 5 minutes of the film, he shows up, he finds the sword, pulls it out, and people are like, oh, he's the king, and that's the end of the movie. It's not. It's boo. I give it a boo. 1 boo down. Boo.
Jungle Book.
Yeah, I have nothing else for Sword and Stone. Jungle Book, man.
I hadn't seen this in a long time. This is one that, I had never seen Sword in the Stone. But like 101 Dalmatians, like this is things that I saw when I was really young, and only remembered choice little bits from. So obviously from Jungle Book, I remembered bare necessities. I remember that there was a snake who could do some hypnotizing.
And I confused with the snake from Robin Hood.
And that
because they look identical.
That's fair. That's racist, but that's fair. And that there was a tiger. I was pretty confident that there was a tiger.
I figured there was a jungle in a book.
And that was about it. Like, I didn't really remember too much more about the story or what happened. Like, for instance, I completely forgot about I Want to Be Like You.
Which I don't know how you did that. I'm a big fan. Like, even the movies that I haven't really watched, there are movies I haven't seen from Disney until this marathon that I knew the music from because I'm a sucker for Disney music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I Want to Be Like You is just...
Man,
bonkers good.
Well, I'm glad that I didn't, because man,
That's
it was
true.
Fantastic. And it was like I was like a little kid again, watching a Disney movie for the first time and going, "This song is amazing." Super catchy, fun animation. You get Baloo in his like monkey costume, trying to fit in, And the song goes on for a while.
It does, but it's enjoyable.
I could see an argument made for it going on too long. It's wrong. It's not the correct argument, but I could see someone making it. But I could not care less. Like, it was really good.
Yeah, here's this point. Like, if I'm objective about it, Jungle Book is basically just as much time-wasting nonsense as Sword in the Stone, with Mowgli trying to become different animals and wasting his time in the jungle.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, he's basically like, now we're beating the elephants. We're going to watch the elephants go on.
Yeah, basically the ostensive plot is like, oh, Shere Khan's going to come and going to kill Mowgli, so let's get him to this human village. And that introduced like a minute into the movie, and then it's just wacky nonsense.
It's a road trip movie set in the jungle.
It's not really a road trip movie.
It's a buddy comedy. It's
a buddy comedy, I'll give you that one.
Like on a road trip.
However, the music is so good, and it enhances the sequence of nonsense that it makes up for it.
That and Disney's always done animals fantastically.
That's true.
Their ability to anthropomorphize animals while still letting them keep their animalistic traits is unparalleled. I love the elephant scene. in
Yeah.
that with the military-esque elephants, and then the little kid elephant played by Clint Howard. It's shocking, like
That's
little
right, Clint Howard.
little kid.
We were like, that
Howard,
can't be Clint Howard. Clint Howard,
yeah,
can
we
it?
saw his name in the credits, and sure enough, it's like 7-year-old Clint Howard plays the young elephant. Yeah, but that whole sequence is fantastic animation.
It's a song, I might add, so that helps. I'm more accepting of the wacky time wasting nonsense when it is part of a musical number, when it is a spectacle, because then my brain goes, "This is a spectacle. You just kind of gotta let it go."
Mm-hmm. Let it go.
Nope.
Let it go.
All right, you're out. You're out of this. Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
All right.
So you guys for the Frozen video.
Yeah, we should also note that Walt Disney died 10 months before the release of this film. So this is the first one that came out after Walt had passed away. So it had a in memoriam thing.
I was going to say, I don't remember the in memoriam, but I was going to ask.
I think it has something at the beginning and the end about Walt.
I was like, it should, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he was still involved with this, and he actually had a couple that he was still involved with after this. But, yeah, Jungle Book is very, very entertaining, and it also shows the power of music in elevating the nonsense, I think. All right, moving on to Aristocats. The first, also a lot of good music in this one.
Yes, yeah.
The first thing I want to mention is that this is the first time I've really, really enjoyed the title song that's just based on the title.
Yeah.
Because it's this French guy just singing about these, like, the fanciest cats in town. It's like, oh, who have the best houses? The Aristocats. I'm like, it's just a lot of fun. It's the start of their funny accent work, which is always good. And Disney will find a lot of success with funny accent work later.
We got Baloo as a cat. Mm-hmm. Singing great songs.
Yes. Aristocats was the last film approved by Disney. Like, while he was alive, like, production's like, okay, like, there are other films, I mean, Little Mermaid you've been trying to make since the 30s, but this last film, like, we're going to go in production. He's like, sure, go, do it, yes, sign off on it. This is the last one. This was 4 years after his death, so these things have been in production for a while. But we should point that out, too. Yeah, the voice actor who played Baloo in Jungle Book is in, like, the next 8 films.
Yeah.
He's just, like, they keep using him. And he doesn't change his voice, it's just his voice. He has a great, don't get me wrong, it's a great tone.
Yes.
Great timbre to his voice.
Great for animation, yeah.
But it got a little ridiculous after a while. I'm like, is this the same guy again? Son of a bitch. Aristocats is... it's very easy for me to confuse this with Lady and the Tramp and 101 Dalmatians. Yes. It's like, all right,
I'm like, yeah, the Siamese cats are in this one, right? I'm like, pretty sure.
Well, that's because the cats was like, okay, well, it's about these animals who then go to a different part of town than they're used to. And, I mean, the reasons are all different. Like, this one is the cat's going to inherit money, and the butler...
Yes,
that's
right.
Out.
The evil butler.
The evil butler tries to kill the cats. And
in
then,
his defense, who leaves their estate to a bunch of cats?
I know. In his defense, though, he was going to be the butler for them. So just spend money on yourself. Like, it's not hard to skim money off the top from cats.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like, I'm not completely defending his actions. I'm just saying,
So I mean, the circumstances are different, but it's still basically these stuck-up, high-class cats go out and meet an alley cat, which, oh, holy hell, those kids. We gotta talk about those kids. Remember the little one doing that?
Nicole can do it great. I can never remember how he does.
Yeah, no, it nailed it, though. It's so, yeah, the little kids, they're fantastic. They're the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
The little kids and how just excited they are for this adventure. And the mom, who is later, is Cheshire Gabor? Is that who plays it? Anyway, she goes. I know she's also the voice in The Rescuers.
Then yes. Or Ava Gabor.
Gabor. Well, whoever. And maybe that's not even true. They sound the same. Moving on.
A lady.
But anyways, the kids are the real reason to show up for this one, and they're hilarious throughout.
Yes.
All the great. And it's not even just time wasting bits. Like, they're interesting characters. They're growing, and they're really interested in all the jazz characters they meet and all that. And
right.
Holy hell, that sequence of the visuals when it just sort of went to abstract, solid colors with outlines of characters, just like a black wall, and like characters just changed color. It was like the experimental animation again. Yeah. It was not
any opportunity they can get to go back to that, they take it and they excel at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sequence "Everybody Wants to Be a Cat" is it's a stunning sequence. It's a great one, and it's been a while since I've had a sequence where I'm just like really impressed with the art that's happening in front of me. As much as I enjoyed 101 Dalmatians and Jungle Book, like that one, I was just like, holy hell, there's a lot of good art happening. Mm-hmm. Like the animation on this, in addition to the song, because the song is also well written in my opinion. It's nice and creeping. It's a good demonstration of the style for kids to learn. Also contemporary music, so once again I'm interested.
Yep.
Yeah.
Robin Hood.
Yes, Robin Hood.
Not Rush Hour, Robin Hood.
Yes. This one they had... Yes, Robin Hood, perhaps most famous for people of our generation, was where the song for the hamster dance came up. If you know what the hamster dance is, then you're too young to watch these videos. There, I said it. There, I said it.
That's actually pretty fair.
Or you're way too old to watch the videos. One of the two.
Yes.
Either way, please keep watching our videos.
You're not in our demographic, but we still like you.
Please, we have like 4 people that watch these.
Yeah, this is a real interesting movie. This is one that I watched a lot as a kid and then promptly didn't watch for many years. And so just like little moments, like just like single frames would just like hit me in the face with nostalgia.
I had the exact same reaction because I remember watching this multiple times as a child and I watched it in years. Like, I doubt I watched it since I had 2 digits in my age.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
And so I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, I remember watching this a whole lot, and I remembered, like, the Phony King of England. I remember there was an archery contest. Honestly, also, I got it confused with a lot, like, I knew the plot of Robin Hood because...
Yeah, it's like, I've seen a lot of Robin Hood.
So I know the basic plot of it. But then just, like, I specifically remember hitting me the most is when the little rabbit is sneaking into the castle when he meets Mary and he has Robin Hood's hat. And I was just like, oh shit, I remember everything! It's as if all my memories had come back and like 4 years of my life had returned and just, it all came rushing back. Like we were doing, if I was being filmed, it would have done the like Dolly Zoo, which just, boom, the world either gets bigger or smaller around me.
Probably bigger because we won't.
Yeah, because my brain expanded, yeah. But not taller.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. There was a reduced budget for this one. There was some recycled animation within the film itself. Like, oh, they're running. We're going to use the same running scene 3 or 4 times. Also, they used some Jungle Book cells. They sort of painted over them like, okay, we're going to turn King Louie into the hen that's with Maid Marian and just have this dance. Oh, that's Baloo. Now it's Little John. Yeah. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Little John stuff was just Baloo painted over. Once again, same voice actor too, which is kind of racist, making him another bear. Are you running out of time?
Yeah, we're running a little short on time. So
okay. Music's great in this though. Love the songs. Very time appropriate. There's the licks at the start of the Phony King of England. I'm like, oh, this is super Beatlesy.
Oh yeah.
The guitar licks at the start of it. Moving on real quickly, because I don't think we have a lot to say about this one, is The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. It's made up of 3 shorts.
Again, shocked at how much I remembered about this.
This one feels like a huge step backwards to me. It goes back to, it's technically a package film, because they released all these shorts individually, and they sort of, I think they add a little additional interstitial material, and then just threw them out again like, hey, we've been releasing these shorts, here's this Winnie the Pooh movie, pay us again.
Money, please!
Mm-hmm. I mean, you like the characters and there's good bits, but it's, especially coming from this era of experimentation and interesting films, it felt like a step back to sort of small childhood stories.
Yeah. Not
a fairy tale, but sort of in the fairy tale vein of, these imaginary characters.
It was great when Rabbit made Winnie the Pooh's butt into a interior design piece.
Yes, there were a lot of really good little moments in this, but as a film, I left myself, I was intensely bored and disinterested. So if you love Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, watch Winnie the Pooh, and then
we'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, the new one is actually really good.
So just overall this era, I just wrote down it's a lot of eclectic films, as we said. The change of style I felt was a breath of fresh air. Even when the films didn't work as well, like Sword and Stone, at least it looked different than the past 10 films I had seen.
Yeah, it was, we weren't watching kind of the same sort of thing over and over again. It was new stuff, for which when watching in a marathon was very nice.
And just a little tip for the future, this is also the era when Don Bluth started working for the studio, which is a name that will become important for anyone who grew up in the 80s and 90s. And also for anyone following this marathon. So, I can't remember which specific one. I believe maybe... Oh, shit, no. He actually started as like an assistant back on Sleeping Beauty. Then he left, got a degree, came back, and I believe during Jungle Book started working again for them in a more full-time capacity.
Nice.
So, look forward to his name coming out. But overall, Middle Disney is an interesting time. They took experiments they needed to, and I have to salute them for it. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean... generally positive, I think, about all these.
So obviously, we didn't like Sword and Stone too much, and Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, but I mean, 4 out of 6 ain't bad.
So. 5 out of 6, great. Well, there's nothing wrong with Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
It's a step backwards.
Yeah.
Where everything else is a step forward.
In the context of everything else.
Yes, because, I mean, that's what we're watching. We're watching in the context of this whole marathon. But.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts for now?
I'm good.
All right, well, thanks for watching. We're Two Fat Guys.
And sorry for wasting your time.